Hi there. I am Melissa Morris. I am the founder and lead consultant of Agency Authority, where using my 10 years of agency experience and my proprietary top framework, we help agency owners finally stop being the bottleneck. We help you break through to those new income levels, most notably by helping you to maximize your team, increase productivity, and ultimately increase your profits. Now, if you are a multi six figure business owner, you have probably been through a lot of hiring, some good hires, some bad hires, and generally speaking, a lot of twists and turns along the way. Now, if you're also like a lot of the clients that we work with, you have probably thought, okay, more hands, more help equals more capacity equals more revenue, only to find that a new hire actually meant more meetings, more questions, more work you had to see. For some reason, two new Slack channels. Don't really know why that happened. And a lot less sleep and less time than you thought you were going to have. They're just not showing up and giving you the time savings that you thought you were going to get by bringing this new person on. So today I want to talk about the 5 mistakes that I see agency owners make when they are in the hiring process, considering hiring, and moving through what that looks like. So mistake number 1 is there are no clear roles and responsibilities. So first, let's look. If you are already seeing in your business people asking you when things are due, what's up next, who's responsible for what, if you're still finding tasks slipping with people saying, oh, I thought Katie was going to do that, or I thought Jeff was doing that, and you look and click up and there's 4 people assigned to one task and it's past due and no one's touched it. This needs to be addressed first, because bringing in more help is not the answer. Clear roles and responsibilities are. So what does that mean? What does that look like? It means having a very specific list of duties and responsibilities that each of your team members are responsible for, to include a list of very specific duties and responsibilities you want the new hire to come on and do to support with. So sometimes when I'm working with an agency owner, they'll tell me they need to hire, we're just getting started. And I say, okay, great. Well, what is the new hire going to do? They're going to jump in and support with projects. That's great. What does that mean though? What does that actually look like? Are they going to help prepare slide decks? Are they going to be managing meeting notes? Are they adding tasks to Asana? What quite specifically are they doing? Because jumping in and helping with projects never works. I want to share a story. I was working with an agency for a few years. They were experiencing tremendous growth, and they had a series of senior consultants managing projects. Well, they were really getting at capacity, and these account managers are looking at the agency owners saying, we're tapped, like we're feeling stressed. We've got tons of work to do. Business owners, I got you, right? We're going to bring in an assistant. They're going to come in and they're going to help with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that you guys need to take care of so you can really focus. Great. We make the hire, we bring this individual on. It was a full-time employee. And what we found was the assistant often sitting around twiddling their thumbs saying, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to help? Because they were tasked with just jump in and help the account managers whenever they need it. Well, the account managers, they also really weren't clear on what they were supposed to pass to the assistants. So what we found is the account managers were just holding everything. They weren't even giving the assistant anything to do. And when we asked them, why aren't you passing this along to Susie over here? They said, oh, well, I didn't know if Susie could do that. I didn't want to give Susie too much. I don't know what else they're working on. So there was just this general lack of clarity around who was responsible for what. So what can we do instead? Again, get really clear on what that individual will be doing, and even get to the level of, are they very much just task driven? Are they going to get assigned a task with a very specific due date, very specific next steps, and they have to get that across the finish line? Do they truly own a set of tasks? Are you going to say, in example A, I want you to create this report, I want you to pull these data points, and I want it by Thursday? Or are you going to tell this individual, you are responsible for running reports every month for all of our clients. This is what's included in those reports. These are when we need those reports done by. There's a difference there. So get clear on what they are responsible for, and are they very task oriented and someone who's really going to be a doer, or are they really taking ownership over a series of skills, activities, or tasks? Get clear on that before you make that hire. Okay. Hiring mistake number 2 is no clear processes in place. And this presents problems in quite a few ways. So first, even if we're really clear on what this individual is supposed to do, if we don't have clear processes in place, what can happen is they're often just shadowing along. They are either shadowing you, kind of constantly monitoring and watching what you're doing, another team member, and they're not really able to step in and fully own any work because they're just not sure how to do it. And then you're really just paying for someone to kind of sit along in meetings, kind of join in, and then ultimately ask a bunch of questions and not really be able to execute on any task and create measurable output. The other problem is if they do have enough knowledge or skill set to jump in and start working, they're probably going to start doing things in their own way and not necessarily in the way that you want things done, not necessarily in the way that we see the other members who are in that same role getting work done. And this can go a couple of different ways, and neither is good. So one, we can find that maybe they're really over delivering. They're very quick on response times. They're really going over on time and budget. And ultimately, this is not good for your bottom line. The other side of that is maybe they're not doing enough. Maybe they're not replying to emails quickly enough. They're not on top of things. They aren't really digging into the reports and the work and the way you would want things done. So you need to have a plan in place so that they know how to come in and not only execute on tasks, like in our report example, do they quite practically just know how to go in and click the buttons and generate a report? But also, do they know and have training and support around how to get that information where it needs to go? So maybe I have an SOP and I really understand how to generate that report. But do I just attach that report as a PDF and fire it off to the client? Do I take a minute and digest what I've read, pull out some key takeaways for the client? Do I give them actionable next steps? What do we do with that report? And this is where things can really, really vary. And then what you can end up with, as I've already mentioned, either a lot of scope creep or sometimes really unhappy clients because they're used to getting reports that have a good summary, a lot of data points and some takeaways. And now all of a sudden they're getting a report that's got a PDF attached and an email that says, see below, thanks. And there's a big disconnect there. So you really want to have clear processes and standards in place. Now, I will say, don't let that scare you. What you do not need to have is every process in your business documented, perfectly formatted, great training videos, written screenshots. No, do not get too carried away on this. Come back to your list of very specific duties and responsibilities and say, can someone watch this messy Loom video and get it across the finish line? Can they run through this checklist and we'll know they have hit all the spots? Can they lean on this templated email that we have to make sure the client's getting the same experience as when I was doing it or this other team member was doing it? And don't be afraid to build as you go. It can look a little messy. Your Loom video can have ums and oops and let me restart that. It's okay. It's okay. Let that happen, because even a 10-minute messy Loom versus, a 6-minute perfectly polished one is going to get that work off your plate. It's going to get that new team member moving and being productive way faster than waiting on you to get something perfect out the door and across the finish line. Okay. So mistake number 2, you don't have clear processes or standards in place. Mistake number 3, messy communication channels. As I said at the start of this, what we don't want to happen is a new team member comes on and now we just have more meetings, more Slack channels, more confusion. So you want really clear communication standards. Have a standard around when you're meeting with the team, what topics you're going to cover, what agenda items there are. I really try and stay out of Slack as much as possible. I have found this can really just be a black hole of time. Things get lost all of the time, tasks, Very important bits of information somehow end up in a Slack channel. So if you find yourself creating more and more Slack channels because things are getting lost or confused, odds are we need to revisit your communication practices. If you find that in order to actually move the needle forward, to actually get work done, it's looking like we're adding more meetings where we have the weekly stand-up, then we have a daily team huddle, and then we have the one-to-one with this group, and then we have the one-to-one with that group. It gets very, very expensive and it will eat up a tremendous amount of time. So if your team can't effectively know what they're supposed to work on, execute on the task, and you don't have a clear line of sight of what's going on there without having a bunch of meetings or a bunch of Slack conversations, it's a sign that you need to take a look at your workflow and get clear on how you're communicating with your team and how everybody's tracking who's on first with their task. So that's mistake number 3, is there's no clear communication channels, which starts to roll into accountability. Like there's people just aren't sure what they're accountable for or what's going on. Okay, mistake number 4, you have failed to hire for the right position or at the wrong time. So you need to take a look at capacity, where the need truly lies. This is where you're going to want to come back to your time tracking data. I know everybody cringes when I say track your time, but I literally cannot stress how important time tracking is for your business. I have seen so many times where someone thought that I just need another account manager. I need another account manager. I need to get this work off my plate. I need to get this work off my plate. You actually needed a copywriter. You did not need an account manager. You needed a copywriter. Or they thought they needed an account manager and they actually needed a project manager. Those roles can start to feel a little confusing as well. Make sure you're hiring for the type of work that you have, because sometimes also I see people wanting to hire for a service offering that they're phasing out or that they don't do a lot of. So maybe you have just a couple of clients who are still running ads with you, but you're really moving away from that. And I'll hear the agency owner tell me, like, we just really need somebody else to support with ads. I'm thinking, okay, time out. Why are we hiring for a service line that we're looking to phase out? That is not the plan that we want. Okay, we want to make sure we're hiring for the way ahead. Another thing you want to make sure of is that you're not hiring too soon or too late, because either can wreak havoc on your business. Hiring too soon means you're scrambling to find work for this individual. And this is very painful, especially if it's a full-time employee and you're now floating a salary with somebody who's maybe only at a 40 or 50% utilization rate. Okay, so you really want to make sure you've got a clear line, you're forecasting out, you know what's coming down, and you know this individual is going to have enough work to do. And if you don't yet, then you need to start looking at maybe a phased approach or look at other ways you can create efficiencies until you will have enough time to bring that individual in and get them very quickly to a proper utilization rate. Now, the other mistake is waiting too long to hire. And this can also be very, very painful for a business. So if we're waiting to the point that literally our team is burnt out, everybody's overwhelmed, clients are getting frustrated, what is likely going to happen is you're going to make a speedy hire, which is probably not the right person for the role. Training and onboarding is really going to fall to the wayside. And ultimately, you're going to end up worse off than you were. I personally made this mistake a few years ago. Agency Authority was going through a really big growth spurt. I was feeling stressed. We were bringing on clients and I thought I need to hire. I made a quick hire on a recommendation and it backfired. And that's okay. Lesson learned. I knew better. Even as I was going into it, I'm like, what am I doing? This isn't proper training. This isn't right. We're going for it anyway. And inevitably, I had to fire the person. I was working double time. And it took some recalibrating to, get capacity back under control, take some time to find the right hire, and then do it in a far smarter and better way. So make sure you're really clear. Is it the right time? Do you have the appropriate work? Don't wait too long, but don't start too soon. Do you have the right role that you need to fill? Don't hire a copywriter when you actually need a designer. Don't hire someone who's strategic when you really need an implementer. Be very thoughtful about who you're bringing in and if the business is actually ready for that role. And then finally, the last thing you need to do, so this is mistake number 5, is failing to have a proper onboarding and training plan in place. This idea of we're going to bring them on and they're going to shadow so-and-so and they're going to learn everything. I am a big fan of some side-by-side learning. I do think that's really important. But if you don't have a clear plan for how you're going to introduce this new team member to your software, to your tools, to your policies, to your work culture, to your clients, to other team members, things get very, very messy very quickly. And again, you have your current staff and teams start to get really confused and frustrated. Your clients get confused. They're, getting an email from Sarah and they're like, who's Sarah? Who's responsible for this? Who is this person? And it really takes much, much longer for that new hire to get up to speed. We all know that hiring is expensive and it takes time. But when done well, it should bring time. It should bring in increased capacity. It should bring increased profit. But you have to have a good onboarding and training plan in place, because even though it takes time to get your new team member up to speed and get them where they need to be, we can work to be really efficient and shorten that amount of time. Instead of it feeling like 6, 9, 12 months where this person's still floundering and trying to get their feet under them, can we do it in 2 or 3 months? So get a really clear onboarding and training plan in place. Pro tip, one of my favorite things to do is do your onboarding in your project management tool. This immediately gets your team member used to working in your system. A lot of times when I'm working with agency owners and we're looking through their onboarding and training plan, they have a really great Google spreadsheet, or they've got something in Excel and they've built in some drop downs and they have this Google Doc timeline and all this great stuff. But what happens is a couple of things. One, your new team member is often looking in a variety of different places. I have to go find a spreadsheet that has some trainings on it. I have to go find this Google Doc that has information about clients. I got to jump in this Loom library. And it's hard for them to stay on track because so many things are in so many different places. So that's issue number 1. And then problem number 2 is they're not getting into ClickUp. They're not getting into Asana, into Teamwork, whatever project management tool you are using. They're spending the first 2-3 weeks really floating around in Dropbox files and Loom videos, where we want to already get them in practice using your project management tool. So I always recommend this, and it works so beautifully every time. Build an onboarding list in your project management tool. Start that training immediately, because otherwise you spend a lot of time training them on your packages and your clients and how to submit for PTO and how to submit for their expenses. And then you finally get them working in client work and they're lost in ClickUp, or they're never updating Teamwork, or they can't find anything in Asana. So if we can start that right away, it really gives a ton of time savings later. So pro tip, get your onboarding list and tasks and training for your new team members in your project management tool and get them working in there effectively right from the start. Okay, so to recap, 5 mistakes and the things we want to avoid. Roles and responsibilities. You really want to have clear roles and responsibilities so that someone can actually jump in and know what they're supposed to be doing. Processes, training, support. Make sure there are clear processes and standards that the new team member can follow. This will get them in and get them moving and working very quickly. Communication standards. Don't bring people on so that you have more meetings and more Slack channels and more pings in your email. Be very clear about how you communicate with each other and make sure it's really easy for people to find what they are responsible for. Capacity planning, make sure it is the right time and the right hands. Make sure you have the right people coming in at the right time. Otherwise, you're just going to spend months spinning your wheels and wondering why you're not getting any help. And then finally, proper onboarding and training. Make sure this person feels supported, they feel equipped to jump in, and you can really tighten up the timeline it takes to get them moving and running on their own and actually saving you time, not asking you more questions. So I hope you found this helpful. drop me a comment below. Let me know which of these mistakes really resonated with you the most. Also, feel free to shoot me a DM if you're getting ready to hire. We do an agency growth audit, and what we can do is we can take a look at your current agency needs and make sure we are getting the right hands in the right role and during the right time in your business, and make sure that they have a really clear training and onboarding plan in place so that they start saving you time quickly.